I went for the first service early in the morning, and I was in that service. I did not want to be drowsing off. So I was not feeling myself. A lot of things were wrong with me that day. So I happened to be on my phone most of the time during the service, right? Even during praise at some point, I was recording one man that was dancing. I posted the content itself, right? Now, after the service, I was sitting down on my own, and after the service, this elderly pastor in the church was closer to me, and then he pointed and he was like, "You, throughout the service, you were just pressing your..." He said it so loud. When he even pointed to me, I thought he wanted to greet me. I stood up and was ready to greet him. And he said it so loud and then turned and continued talking to somebody else. Me, I was just laughing because in my mind I was like, you want to embarrass me? What's your goal for doing that? In that same breath, an elderly man, like older than that man, he saw the whole thing that happened. And he was looking at the man, looking at me as that man was talking. When the man turned away and I just smiled and I sat down, the Baba came to sit down beside me, white hair. And then he was like, "Where do you work?" I told him I work remotely, this and that. And he was like, "I understand that maybe it is your work that might be taking your time during the service. I know that all this remote work these days, this and that. But if it is possible during service, just tell them at work that you need just an hour or something." By the time that Baba was done talking to me, I felt like calling him my friend. The same situation, but different approaches. I don't know why some elderly people feel like the way to correct someone is by embarrassing the person. That man communicated more to me than the one that tried to embarrass him. Since that service, I've not been able to go back to that church. Now, let me explain to you why. Now, the kind of person I am, the only element I use in church is my phone. When you are sharing a scripture, I see my Bible on my phone. When I'm taking notes, I take notes on my notepad. So now the question now is, because that man that shouted embarrassing me does not even know what I was doing on my phone. You don't know if it is the scriptures they were calling I was opening. Do you know there was a time when I was in the choir of this church, when during service, because of this same boredom issue, because I don't want to be bored while they are preaching, I'm also on my phone throughout. But what I'm doing is I am taking note of almost everything they say, to the point that when they are done with the service, I send a written summary of the service to our choir group. But anybody that looks at me from afar